Hello, this is CK7, and we're back for another commentary, this time Disney Heroes vs. Villains Round 9, both Part 1 and Part 2. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas yesterday. I know I did. I got a lot of neat stuff and all. So, fortunately, Ace McKilloface managed to give us all a Christmas present by releasing Part 2. So now I'll go ahead and do both parts in one commentary. This is a really awesome round. There's a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and get started. Hold on, let me see. I think the can't. Okay. Alright, so we start off with Maleficent checking on all the different princesses that's been captured. Snow White, Aurora, and Cinderella. So I'm guessing they captured Aurora and Cinderella, you know, off-screen, because we haven't seen them capture them. Now, I'm assuming... Now, if I remember correctly, Jasmine was captured by Jafar. She's, like, Jafar's servant right now. Belle is with the Evil Queen, and Kida, at the moment, is with the Horned King. So, yeah, that's what we have so far. Are they eventually going to capture Ariel? Because she is a princess, and they are trying to capture all the princesses, so I'm just saying. You know? So here we have the Horned King with all his allies. Ursula, Morgana, Lady Tremaine, and Sykes. All going over the war and stuff, just chilling. But then they get an unexpected surprise, Saluk, who the Horned King recruits into their faction. I know a lot of people don't really like the Disney direct-to-DVD sequels that much, but I thought Aladdin the King of Thieves was pretty okay, and I thought Saluk was a pretty awesome villain. So yeah, Maurice goes out to try to rescue Belle. Meanwhile, the mice, Tarn, and Robin Hood go all try to find the way out of the Horned King's castle. And Gertie thinks he's found the way. But the mice go their own way temporarily to make sure. And here Lilo and Stitch are still captured by Zurg and all of them. Now, sorry, I had a hair in my mouth. The thing about Lilo and Stitch is that I love that movie, alright? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there love the film. And I thought the TV series was good, and I thought all the sequels were okay. I mean, okay, better than okay. I thought they were really good. I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on the Lilo and Stitch direct-to-DVD sequels are, but I thought they were okay. I mean, their animation style wasn't that different from the first film. But they all kept to the same basic, you know, idea and plot. Because, you know, about family and friendship, that, you know, Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. And I love that, and it does keep that same idea in the entire franchise. That is until Japan had to make an anime series called Stitch. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Ace McKilloface. I don't know how many people here are familiar with it. But I remember a while back I posted this on the general board to, I guess I was trying to start a rant, but only, I think JC was the only one that responded. But anyway, I have not seen the Stitch anime series, but from what I've read on reviews and on DeviantArt and other places, I don't think I'm interested in seeing it, because apparently it's about Stitch, who ends up in Japan and meets up with some Japanese chick named Yuna. And apparently this takes place when, at the time, Lilo is a teenager, and there's been a lot of rumors floating around in America that Lilo has a boyfriend, and that's the reason why she ditches Stitch. And that's what kind of threw me off. I mean, I know that's not really true, but the thing is, the reason why I hate that is because why on earth would Lilo abandon and neglect Stitch over something like a boyfriend? Because, I mean, even if she did have a boyfriend, she never would abandon Stitch. I mean, Stitch is her best friend in the whole world. I mean, think of all the stuff Lilo had to go through before Stitch came into her life. Her parents died. The girls were mean to her, and she was all alone with no friend in the world. All she had for company was her sister. So yeah, when Stitch came into her life, it all changed. He became her best friend. They're like a family. I mean, they're like brother and sister and all that. So it just seems really messed up and wrong that she would abandon her. And for Japan to make an anime series where Lilo just abandons Stitch and Stitch runs away to be friends with a Japanese chick, it just seems so wrong, and it really kills what Lilo Stitch was going for. I mean, that was the whole point. That was the whole aspect and beauty of the series, is that Ohana is family, and family means no one gets left behind. And that's what it really means about. So that's why I just don't like the idea of this anime series being around. Yeah, I mean, and just talking about this kind of makes me wonder, what does History Buff think of the anime series? Is he aware? Because I would like to hear what he has to say about it. So anyway, yeah, they're both captured in the Zerg's prison. And they're being freed by an unlucky friend. I just noticed he used a clip from Rock and Rule, a third non-Disney film he used in the series, with wizards and the Secret M2. And this is where I'm beginning to see that John Silver is starting to turn to the good side, which we were all looking forward to that. And this really gets us excited, especially me, because the use of anti-heroes in this series, I know we've all been over this a lot, but seriously, I mean, what are we going to expect for the other anti-heroes, like Copper and Gantu and Amos Slade and Kronk? And when Part 2 comes out, I'm really excited for Part 2 that you're going to include Disney TV shows. Because, I mean, think about what you have planned for the anti-heroes from Part 2, like Macbeth from Gargoyles, or the Mukhtar from the Aladdin series, or Dr. Doofenshmirtz, or... there is one anti-hero that I am really excited to know how you're going to use. And JC is excited too, because me and her talked about this. But the one anti-hero we're excited to know how you're going to use is Rose from American Jack Jake Long, because her relationship with Jake was really intense and really beautiful in the American Jack Jake Long series. So I'm really excited to know what you got planned for her in Part 2.
Getting in too deep here, Murphy. Next thing you know, they'll be saying I've gone soft.
You know, I really like John Silver, because, yeah, he is the antagonist in Treasure Planet, but he's a really complex character, and I really like him. And, you know, little funny thing, for this Christmas yesterday, I actually got the Disney Treasure Island, the original Treasure Island film that Disney did, along with Swiss Family Robinson and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I got 3 classic Disney live-action films. So yeah, can't wait to see what you have planned for Silver in the future of the series. Oh no, looks like Scroop has found out. You know, I'm surprised how well Scroop is doing this war. Alright, now we go to the actual fights. Danahi versus Shere Khan. You know, it's good to see that Ka's still in the war, because I thought you killed him off in round 3, but it turns out he's still here. And it's about time we saw Shere Khan fight someone. It's also about time we saw Danahi again, because we haven't seen him since, I think it was round 6, I think, we last saw him. And I noticed you're using Atka in this fight, from Brother Rare 2. You know, the thing about Danahi and Atka is that they're both anti-heroes. I mean, Danahi is actually what I call an anti-villain, I guess, is what you can call him. But Atka, I guess, could be an anti-hero, I don't know. So this is a pretty well-edited fight. Shere Khan seems to just mess with the wrong men. Now we go to Todd and Bambi versus Amos Slade and Alameda Slim, which ironically they both have the same initials, AS. I never really realized that until recently. So yeah, basically it's a whole, you know, hunter versus animal battle, I guess you could say. Just so I'm watching this at the moment. You know, the thing about The Fox and the Hound, it's another one of those Disney films that I watched a lot when I was a kid. And you know, it's also another one of those Disney films that kind of, sort of frightened me a little. Along with the other films like Lady and the Tramp and 101 Dalmatians. And let me explain. I mean, there were a few scenes in The Fox and the Hound that I thought were kind of scary when I was little. And I think those scenes included... I mean, yeah, the bear was scary, but then there was scenes like... I think the scene that actually scared me the most in The Fox and the Hound was the way the movie began. The opening credits. Because, I don't know, I mean, from what I remember is that it just opened in such a weird and kind of creepy way with the music, and later then it shows the hunt with Todd's mother running through the forest being hunted by the dogs. That scene actually did kind of scare me with the music and all. And The Fox and the Hound is just one of those films. I mean, others like the 101 Dalmatians with, you know, Pongo Perdita being vicious and growling. And Lady and the Tramp was another one of those films that kind of scared me because of, like, Tramp fighting the rat and the scene where the street dogs chased Lady. And now that I look back through my childhood, I think the reason why Lady and the Tramp scared me is that, does anyone here on the board remember those paperback books they got when they were a kid that came with, like, a little tape? Not a videotape, but like a tape you played in, like, a tape player, you know, a radio type thing. You know, before we used CDs, we used little tapes to listen to music and etc. Well, I had these, there were Disney books that to help with my reading when I was little, and I listened to tapes that read the book for me. And one of the books was Lady and the Tramp. And I'll be honest, I think I read the book before I actually saw the movie. And, I mean, yeah, it did help with my reading, but the downside is that the way it was portrayed in the book kind of frightened me a little, because by listening to the tape, with the narrator and the music, and the one image I remember from the book was the image of Lady being chased by the dogs, and the way it was shown in the book, it was just horrific looking. With the dogs, you did not see their color; they were shaded black, and you just saw their vicious looking eyes, and that's what really scared me a little when I was a kid. That's what I remember. But now that but then when I saw the movie, I realized it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, totally wow. This is really well edited here with Bambi pushing down the rocks and Chief trying to chase him. And here we have the development of another anti-hero, Copper. Really excited to know what you have planned for them.
I want to see you get killed. Drag it down, Lori! I'll let you go this one time. Don't lose it!
Just sort of watching this right now. You know, the other thing, though, is that did Copper even see Alameda Slim make the boulder fall? And by the way, I noticed you're using the boulder from the Sword and the Stone. But anyway, I mean, seriously, because Copper takes the blame on Todd. I mean, that doesn't really seem right, in my opinion, because when he should be taking the blame out on Alameda Slim, because he's the one that caused the rock to fall, not Todd, so yeah. I mean, will Copper eventually figure that out? I mean, did he even see Slim cause that rock to fall? Still, good fight. And here we have Tarn and Robin Hood versus Saluk. So yeah, Tarn and Robin Hood's group all try to figure out a way out of the castle. They find the sword, but they run into Saluk and the 40 Thieves. You know, I think The Black Cauldron is a pretty underrated Disney film. I remember the Nostalgia Critic, when he was doing his Disney December review, he didn't have much, he had quite a few negative things about the film, but I think it's pretty good. And the ironic thing is that you would think The Black Cauldron would have scared me when I was a kid. And I'll be honest, there were a few intense scenes, but it did not really scare me that much. So how ironic is it that The Black Cauldron, a film about a medieval time with a very demonic medieval king, did not scare me, but yet a film with, like Fox and the Hound, 101 Dalmatians, or Lady and the Tramp did scare me. Oh, and Pinocchio, too. I mean, where's the irony in that? And by the way, nice there. You know, for a moment there I thought Saluk was gonna die, but no. Which is good, because I think he's a pretty awesome villain. And now we have John Smith and Pocahontas versus Captain Hook. So Ratcliffe, I guess persuades Hook to go and take out John Smith. You know, I will say, after watching this round, it does make me see that some of these Disney villains have a lot of footage left in Disney versus non-Disney villains. Like, Hook, he still has quite a bit of footage that has not yet been used. And by the way, oh, love that bit with Flit. This fight is incredibly well edited, I will say. It's probably one of your best, edited fights in this series. Because, I mean, with the sword fight and... Okay, yeah, that's funny right there with Miko. And this bit right here, Pocahontas kicking Smee. But, I mean, like, this part right here with Hook fighting John Smith in the sword fight, it really looks like it would be in the same area. Except with the rain, though, because you can tell there's rain with John Smith, but no rain with Hook. But, you know, footage-wise, you can't do anything about it. But still, it's a really well-edited fight. It almost seems like they're in the same area. Good fight. Yeah, for sequel, that's pretty funny. And finally, we have the escape from the Horn King's... Okay. The escape from Horn King's castle. Now, there is one thing I want to point out. That, the map, not, okay, hold on. Okay, on the boards, just want to bring up something that's been kind of bugging me on the forum. This little mouse right here, a lot of people, like History Buff, keeps named him Toulouse. Because I remember I was reading his Disney Heroes vs. Villains status quota, and under the quota with the mice, the list of mice, for some reason he named this mouse Toulouse. But now I'm not calling anyone stupid. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I'm just saying it's wrong. Toulouse is the name of one of Duchess's kittens, the orange kitten. The mouse right here, his name is if I can pronounce his name, Roquefort or something like that. Yeah, that's his name. That's his real name. You know, Roquefort, I believe how you spell it. Anyway, yeah, that's his real name, not Toulouse. Just want to clarify that with you guys, for those of y'all who got it mixed up. Interesting thing, though, is that he is voiced by Jim Cummings, who we all know for voicing characters like Kaa, Winnie the Pooh, the singing voice of Rasputin, part of the singing voice of Scar, Robotnik, etc. Yeah, he voices a lot of characters. So yeah, the mice found a way out of the castle. But they also find Kida trapped in that cell. But they are soon under attack by the Horn King's forces. And again, this is another really epic all-out battle, just like the one we had in round 8 with Aladdin, Hercules, and the Evil Queen. I love this bit right here with Ursula, you know, flirting with Flounder? I can't ever pronounce his name, I don't know. But Tarn and his friends find themselves trapped. You know, there's one other thing I want to point out about the Black Cauldron being very underrated. Some of the characters I think are underrated. Like, take Eilonwy, for example, the princess right here. Is that I find her highly underrated. I mean, because she's kind, she's beautiful. I mean, yeah, she can be feisty and tough at times, but she is a kind, beautiful character. So I just find her highly underrated. And the same for Taran, that I think he's an underrated hero. I mean, I guess he's not as interesting as, like, Aladdin or Hercules, but he's still a pretty good hero. And I think he and Eilonwy make a nice Disney couple. And here we get this really epic part the freedom of Kita. And Saluk falls off the cliff. How much you all want to bet that he's going to come back in the future? You know, after seeing that scene with Lady Tremaine and her daughters, Anastasia and Priscilla, Anastasia, she's another anti-hero that I kind of wonder how you're going to use in this series. Run, Dumbo, run! And here's another thing. So far you've only shown Orville right here from the Rescuers. We haven't seen Wilbur from the Rescuers Down Under yet. Are we going to see him as well? Because they are twin brothers. They're not the same albatross. And the Horn King's castle has been destroyed. So now this is what I think is going to happen. That the Horn King and his forces are going to join up with the Evil Queen because the Evil Queen did give an offer to the Horn King to join her faction, but he neglected the offer. So I'm guessing that he's eventually going to join up with her team. And Kita is now free. That's one Disney princess down. So we still have quite a few more to try to rescue them free. And now she joins up with their group. Who'd ever know that an anthropomorphic fox, a bunch of kids, and a bunch of mice, and a young elephant rescued Kita, but before Milo could rescue her.
It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let Todd go.
And here we have what JC refers to as the Animal Cruelty Squad 2, made up of McLeach, Gaston, Clayton, Alameda Slim, and now Amos Slade.
And next time I won't miss.
Meanwhile, Danahi and Pocahontas sees that John Smith is injured and possibly dying. Wonder where this is going to lead. But Danahi has other plans and goes out to try to find the bear that he thinks killed his brother when it turns out, you know, we all know the story of Brother Bear, for those who've seen the movie, so I probably don't need to go over it. So yeah, that was part 1 of the Disney Heroes vs. Villains. Let's see, how long has this been so far? Okay, 23 minutes, so yeah, let's go ahead and do part 2. So we start off with Maurice wandering through the dark forest. You know, one thing I really like about okay, there's a bunch of things I love about the series, but the one thing I think is very interesting is how you incorporate some of the footage here. Like in part 1, how you use John Silver's scene. You didn't play any music whatsoever. You just let the music from the original Treasure Planet movie play on its own. Here you do a similar thing with, you just let the music from the original Beauty and the Beast movie play for this little bit, which I think is really good.
Where have you taken us, Philippe?
Yeah, Philippe senses something is following them. And Philippe is out of here. And the wolves are chasing her. Or him. I can't remember if it's him or her. I think it was a her. And just when Maurice thought he was alone, it's the Headless Horseman! Yeah, I love the music he chose for this. It's really awesome. And I love how he incorporated the Headless Horseman's laughs as part of the scene. Okay, now, there's, you know, the Headless Horseman was another one of those things that kind of frightened me a little when I was a kid. Especially, I think it was somewhere in my later middle school years. I think it was 7th or 8th grade. I remember it was a class trip. We went to go see a play. It was basically a bunch of random stories. One of the stories was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow they did a play of. And the way they portrayed the Headless Horseman in it scared the living daylights out of me. I mean, it was creepy. It was really creepy. And little interesting thing, a little thing I've read about the Headless Horseman. According to legend, the Horseman was once a fighter from the Revolutionary War, I believe, which would explain why his other name, he's also known as the Galloping Hessian, because he was one of the Hessians that once fought in the American Revolution. Just thought I'd bring that up. I know some about history, especially when it comes to mythology. And Maurice runs into Maleficent, who, I guess, imprisons him. Wonder when Bella's gonna figure this out. And here we have Prince Eric versus Marine Del Rey and Monstro. So, Marine Del Rey summons Monstro, who goes out to take out Prince Eric. You know, I have not seen The Little Mermaid Ariel's beginning, so I don't know much about Marine Del Rey. But from what I've seen out of her footage in this series and Disney versus non-Disney villains is that she doesn't seem to do much fighting. Most all she does is talk and taunt and yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, I could be wrong. Like I said, I've never seen the movie she's from. You know, I also love how you're using the different animal and monster villains in this series, because in a normal villains tournament, they would only exist in, like, one round. But, like, for example, Monstro, this is the 3rd round he's appeared in if you count round 8. And the same with the Headless Horseman and Nessus and the Hydra and Sabor. We have not seen Sabor yet, so I'm assuming we're going to see her again. And yes, Sabor is a female leopard, just to let you know. I did not know that at first, too. So yeah, it gets me excited to know what you have planned for all those monsters in the future. So here we have Peter Pan's crew versus the friends on the other side. So Dr. Facilier asks his friends to send out some shadow demons to, I guess, steal Peter Pan's shadow, I guess? Or something like that? I don't know. So on the ship that Peter's crew is on, they run into all the shadow demons, and Peter Pan takes his shadow around, while Alice and Tinkerbell fight off the shadows. And this is really well edited right here, how you use Tinkerbell to fight off the shadows instead of Ray. And this right here is incredible as well. It's good to see Tinkerbell is getting some action. And this part right here I never would have thought of that anyone could do. Have Facilier shadow fight someone. I'm surprised Manwu has never thought of something like that yet. And Jim Hawkins comes in and decides to deal with the remaining shadows. And now we have the forces of Buzz Lightyear versus Hamsterville and Ratigan. You know, which, at first, it kind of threw me off a little that you have Buzz Lightyear's team take on 2 rodents, but after watching this fight, I have to say, it really surprised me, in a good way. Because, Hamsterville I can understand, because he's a galactic overlord and all, but Ratigan, he's a Victorian crime lord. He's basically the Moriarty of the Great Mouse Detective. But still, a good fight. good to see all of the space heroes are getting some screen time. You know, Doppler, Amelia, Ben, and Jumble and Pleakley. Yeah, love that bit with Pleakley and Doppler flipping the heck out. You know, interesting thing, I remember, me and one of my cousins, we kind of made this joke about XR, you know, the little robot, and XL, who was one of the villains from the TV series of Buzz Lightyear, you know, he was like a giant version of XR. We kind of made a joke that XL stands for extra large and XR stands for extra retard. Just a funny little joke I wanted to share. But Radican escapes, and Hamsterville gets captured. And here we have Donald and Goofy versus the Underworld. That, I guess, is basically what it is. So Donald and Goofy sees Hades and goes to follow him to rescue Mickey. And so they both end up in the Underworld, and Pain and Panic are just together, guess, you know, being themselves. And so Donald Goofy sees Mickey trapped in the River Styx. And Pain and Panic get the Hydra and Nessus to deal with them. Yeah, I guess they really got themselves screwed in this situation. You know, I'm surprised you didn't use the sound bit of the Hydra roaring. But I guess you couldn't figure that out. Oh, that was good editing. And coming up here is good editing with Goofy just headbutting Nessus. Never knew Goofy was that strong. And again, just like from the Aladdin and Hercules versus Evil Queen battle in round 8, here you have these two win a fight by accident. You know, Donald, how he shot at the mountain by accident and caused an avalanche. Here, it's another accident. He was just getting Donald out, and he causes the rocks to fall on top and slicing the Hydra's head off. But I'm guessing that's not the end of the Hydra, because the Hydra can regrow heads, and we'll probably see that later on. Also, I noticed how he used the scene from 101 Dalmatians and Atlantis for the rocks crumble and all, which I think is cool and all. How you incorporate certain scenes and all. And Mickey Mouse is free, which is about time because it's round 9 and he's finally back. And they go ahead and deal with Pain and Panic.
Hey, he's gonna kill us when he finds out what happened with me. He finds out. How is he gonna...
I love that sound bit from the Hercules movie. And finally we have the Human Again team versus the Witches of Morva. Yeah, I guess that's what we're kind of calling it right now. I mean, History Buff came out with that name, but I'm just saying, because, you know, Kuzco, Tiana, and Naveen all want to become human again, so yeah, why not? So they all go to find someone who can turn them back into human, and they find the Witches of Morva, who aren't as friendly as Mama Odie. And they threaten to turn them into frogs. You know, even though Tiana and Naveen are already frogs, but now Pacha is a frog, which I love the incorporation of that scene. And so they decide to try to strike a bargain with Tiana.
This is not right.
But Tiana won't do it because it would involve harming her friends and all. So she neglects their offer. But the witches make a different bargain, and instead decide that, I guess according to your description, it says that they'll try to figure out a way on their own to become human again. But if they don't soon, that they will turn them all into frogs and they will eat them. So at least Pacha is human again, but Tiana is a frog again. Yeah, or so they say. And now we go to the epilogue, and yeah, you're using the redemption music, which is really good. So the Grand Councilwoman goes to capture Hamsterville, which I'm assuming this is going to lead up to a little conflict.
Him in the high security germ cage.
I love Hamsterville, he's just so funny. But I'm just saying though, I'm guessing this is going to lead to something in part 2 of the series, which I definitely can't wait for part 2, because, I mean, you know what, this kind of get me wondering though, you are obviously trying to include every Disney animated character in, at least from all the Disney animated movies. But are you going to try to do the same with TV shows? Because there were a lot of Disney animated TV shows in the past. I mean, I highly doubt you'll be able to, but I'm just saying. And here we have the coachman with different animals. Brer Rabbit, Mrs. Jumbo, the Donkey Children. And Bongo is here. Poor Bongo. But it's nice to see another obscure Disney character. But seriously, it's just, at the same time, it's just so sad to see the animals being abused and all like that. Like, oh boy, that's creepy. But seriously, I mean, how many more sad scenes are you going to include in this series? Like, something like, well, I don't know, maybe Quasimodo falls down while Mulan tries to save him, but she fails and she thinks he's dead. That'd be a very interesting, sad cutscene if you can include that somehow. Memo to me, menu after my meeting. I love that sound bit right there. Also, I loved how you used the sound bit from that House of Mouse episode, Halloween with Hades. That was incredible. And so Maleficent, Jafar, and Hades hold a meeting to figure out someone who can summon the Firebird, and they figure out that the Sprite is the only one that can. Ooh, I think I know where this is going to lead eventually. You know, another anti-hero though, Iago. He's another anti-hero I'm kind of wondering how you're going to use in this series, but I guess that's going to be saved for part 2. And so Robin Hood's crew meets up with Aladdin's crew. And here, I love this bit right here, how you have all the dashing heroes, Phoebus, Tarn, Aladdin, and Hercules. And now Kita's here, along with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. So this is the largest faction in this series by far. And the mice go to the dogs and cats and tell them about their alliance. And that Mickey is with them, I guess. The dogs agree, but the cats seem to have reservations for someone, I don't know. So I'm just gonna guess the dogs and cats will join up with Aladdin's group, and eventually this is gonna lead to a whole giant faction with all the heroes eventually at the end of the series. So the Ratican meets... Oh, that's a very weird face of Facilier I paused at. So the Ratican hides in the Evil Queen's castle, and Facilier turns him human size. Which this is gonna get interesting. Elsewhere, Scuttle finds Prince Eric, who is now going to be put under control by Ursula and Marina. Where I wonder what they have planned for him this time. Because, I mean, seriously, you don't have Ursula shown turn into Vanessa. I mean, does she turn to Vanessa, or does she turn to something else? I'm just saying. And Zurg finds out about Silver letting Lilo and Stitch free, and everyone is pretty ticked about this. Screw up, you tattletailer. But Zurg threatens Silver that he will harm Jim if he meddles with their plans again. This series is getting good. Like, really good. So yeah, this was a really awesome round. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely can't wait for round 10. I already answered what I could for the guessing game, and I send you the replies, so I hope I got it right. So yeah, that was a really awesome round. Let's see, how long was this one? Over 40 minutes. I think I've done with Lana before. Actually, wait. That might be one of my Lana ones. So yeah, but like I said, I can't wait for a part 2 of your series as well. The use of Disney TV shows, like Disney shows like Gargoyles, American Jack, Jake Long, the Kim Possible, Phineas and Ferb, especially Phineas and Ferb, because I can't wait to see fights with Perry the Platypus. I'm just saying. So yeah. Oops, sorry about that. I must have saved a picture there. Anyway, this is Seeking Promise 7, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas yesterday, and I also hope you all eventually have a Happy New Year. So yeah, see y'all later.